You are already explaining someone else's emergency. The call bell sits quiet on the wall, but your shoulders are not quiet. You repeat details that are not yours. You smooth over the parts that would make them sound careless. You look capable, so the room lets you continue. The person beside you stays silent because you are doing it better. At first, saving someone feels like being useful. Then it starts to feel like being handed a life you never agreed to carry. How did help become your job? A folded consent form waits under your hand. You do not sign it yet. The paper bends slightly, and that small bend feels heavier than the whole room. You still care. You still want the situation to end well. But one thought arrives before your hand moves. Caring is not the same as taking over. That line is easy to say from far away. It is much harder when someone is watching your hand. It is harder when silence feels like blame. At the rehab desk, a guardian wrist tag is fastened around you. The plastic band is light, but the roll is not. A person behind the desk speaks as if your presence solves the next part. You nod before you understand what you accepted. You came to support someone through recovery. Now the system sees you as part of their recovery. The strange part is how quickly everyone gets used to it. Soon your help starts to look like a permanent feature. Names keep moving on the care assignment board. Several spaces are open, but your name keeps landing in the active slot. Nobody says they are transferring the burden. They just ask because you answered last time. They ask because you were calm last time. They ask because you did not make the problem bigger. Smart people often become useful in exactly this way. They notice what will break next, then step in before anyone else has to notice. The reward is more noticing. The counseling recorder is switched off in a small room. Nothing you absorbed will be listed anywhere. The hard part is not only the time, it is the way you carry the conversation afterward. You remember the pauses. You remember the guilt. You remember the sentence they dropped before leaving. When the work is not recorded, people can pretend it did not cost anything, but your body still keeps a receipt. That hidden cost changes how you enter the next conversation. Late at night, the hotline headset rests against your ears. The old padding presses softly, and you keep listening after your own words run out. Sometimes helping is not dramatic. It is waiting. It is holding silence while someone circles the same problem again. You are not fixing anything. You are absorbing impact. And because you can stay calm, people begin to believe calm is your natural state. They forget calm can also be something you spend. A donation cart leans to one side in the sorting warehouse. You adjust the handle, then add one more box. That is how the pattern grows, not through one huge sacrifice, through one more favor, one more call, one more drive, one more explanation to a person who arrived late and left early. The cart does not tip at first. It only teaches everyone which side can take more weight. By the time it shakes, the weight feels normal. A return visitor badge sits in your palm. The permission is gone, but the guilt stays behind. You are no longer the person allowed inside. Still, your mind keeps checking what might happen without you. What if they need something? What if they spiral again? What if the next call comes and no one answers? This is where care starts to feel like a private alarm system that never powers down. It follows you, even after the door closes. A closed medication case waits in the treatment area. You can stand beside it, you can read the label, you can remember the schedule, but you cannot open a person's recovery from the outside. That is a painful limit because it does not look loving. It looks passive, it looks like doing less. But some parts of another life only move when the person inside that life reaches for them. Your memory cannot become their hand. The waiting number machine keeps giving out new slips. One concern ends and another appears before your hands are empty. This is the part people miss. The rescuer is rarely asked to save once. The rescuer becomes the place where unfinished problems line up. But here's the strange part. Each new number feels small enough to accept. That is why the total becomes so hard to see. A life can be overloaded one reasonable request at a time. Half a folding divider stands in the care meeting area. It is meant to separate spaces, but the gap stays open. Everyone talks around the boundary, not through it. They say support. They say coordination. They say just for now. You can hear how reasonable it sounds. A boundary that stays half open still lets every request enter. And after a while, people stop noticing that you never closed it. They begin to treat the gap as the plan. On the briefing wall, responsibilities are separated cleanly. Each task has its own space. Each role has its own place. Then the real conversation starts, and the clean lines blur. Someone cannot come. Someone forgot. Someone says you understand the situation better. The board says responsibility is shared. The room says responsibility is available wherever the most reliable person is standing. The most stable person becomes the shortcut. Reliability becomes a door other people keep using. Inside the shelter storage room, the emergency contact cards are open. Your name appears where rest should have been. The card is small, but it changes your day before the day begins. You check your plans differently. You keep your phone close. You leave part of your attention unlocked. And this is where it changes. Being reachable starts to replace being present in your own life. Even quiet hours begin to feel borrowed before they begin. An empty cup coaster remains in the Guardian rest area. You meant to sit there. You meant to breathe for 1 minute. Instead, you carried another update across another hallway. The coaster marks the break you never took. Nobody sees a missing rest. They only see that the next thing still got handled. That is why overhelping can hide so well. It looks like strength until the person helping disappears from the day. The body notices before the room does. At the support termination window, a disabled pager lies on the counter. It can no longer call you back. The idea feels uncomfortable at first. If they cannot reach you, does that mean you stop caring? Or does it mean the system finally has to stop using your guilt as a backup plan? The harder part comes later. You realize some people only notice your care when it was available on demand. The silence after that can feel almost rude. It also shows what was being rented from you. The folded consent form returns under your hand. This time, the floor tape marks a clear line in front of the seating area. You stand outside it. The paper is close enough to flatten, but your hand stays still. The choice is visible before anyone names it. You are not punishing anyone. You are not proving a point. You are recognizing a limit. You can sit near pain without signing your name onto someone else's life. That is not distance. It is honesty. A counseling file cabinet stays locked. There are stories inside, but not every story is yours to open. That can feel wrong to a person who understands patterns quickly. You see the missing step. You see the repeating choice. You see the outcome they keep walking toward. But seeing clearly does not make you the owner. Sometimes intelligence becomes dangerous when it mistakes insight for responsibility. A sharp mind can still cross the wrong line. Outside the treatment room, the shoe cover bin sits beside the entrance. Someone else steps through. You do not follow. The simple act looks almost too small to matter. No speech, no explanation, no dramatic turn away. Just the distance between the bin and your feet. That distance says something plain. You can stay connected without entering every room where another person has work to do. Love does not require full access to every process. The cracked rescue ring rests beside an unlit warning lamp. Earlier, it looked like the thing that could pull someone out. Now the crack is easier to see. A rescue tool that is breaking cannot keep rescuing forever. That does not make it useless. It makes the danger clearer. If saving someone requires you to keep sinking beside them, the rescue has changed into something else. It is no longer help. It is shared drowning. Back at the intake center, the problem is no longer in your hands. The call bell is still on the wall. The desk is still there. The need has not vanished. That is the part that makes this quiet. Nothing becomes simple just because you stop carrying it. You only see the line more clearly. You did not stop because you cared less. You stopped because your life was becoming the place where their life kept collapsing. Care can remain without becoming the place where life collapses.